there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a book review for Tide of Black Steel by Anthony Ryan. But before we go ahead and get on into the book review, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well as giving this video a like to show my channel a little bit of support. Tide of Black Steel is the first book in a new series by author Anthony Ryan. The series is called Age of Wrath, and this series takes place in the same world as his Covenant of Steel series. I have read the Covenant of Steel series. I do have full reviews, which I will link down in the description box below if you are interested in checking them out. The way that I structure my reviews is I discuss the plot of the book, the things that I liked, the things that I didn't like, and then I give the book an overall rating. I will also be discussing some spoilers in this book, so please make sure that you are checking the timestamps down below if you want to skip to any particular section or avoid spoilers. In Tide of Black Steel, we are following a whole new cast of characters, and the events of this book take place a couple of decades after the events of the Covenant of Steel. However, there are references to the events in the Covenant of Steel, so I would actually consider this series, especially based on certain things that happened at the end, a spin-off. The difference between this series and the other one is that this is a multiple point of view series. It is told in third person, whereas in the Covenant of Steel, it was told in first person point of view, and we were following Allyn Scribe's perspective for all three of the books. In this book, we are getting the perspective of 4 different characters, 3 of which are following different plot lines. This new series is Norse inspired, and it is said to have a lot of Norse mythology interwoven into the plot, into the religion of these characters of this world. I personally cannot speak to how accurate the Norse mythology representation is in this book because I know absolutely nothing about Norse mythology other than what I've seen in the Thor movies. The 4 characters' point of views we are following are Elvine, Felnir, Thea, and Ruhlin. So starting with Thea and Felnir, they are brother and sister. However, they have this very much sibling rivalry going on. They are overseen by their great-grandfather, who they do not have a good opinion of. In Felnir's plotline, he has his own ship, he's captain of his own ship, and he is trying to get back into the good graces of the 3 sister queens that currently rule his land. In order to get back into their good graces, they task him with finding the Vault of Altvar. This is a hidden sacred place that you need a map to get to. No one has ever been there. It is said to be the vault of their god in this world, and there are relics there that are magical. So this is a seemingly impossible task that Felnir has to accomplish. And then we follow the plot line of Elvine, and Elvine is the daughter of a scholar, and she finds herself employed by the Sister Queens because of her scholarly abilities, her ability to translate ancient languages. So she is employed to go with Felnir because she is able to read this ancient map and decipher it to help him figure out where these vaults are. Then we are following Thera. She's also employed by the Sister Queens. She goes around serving justice in the name of the Sister Queens. So her task has been to quell an uprising on these outer islands. So she goes there with her crew, and what she learns is that this race that no one even knew existed has been attacking and slaughtering the people of these outer islands. So Thera finds herself in a predicament that she wasn't expecting. She is having to fight without an army. She is having to gather all of this information to take back to the Sister Queens to let them know what is happening. And this is a well-established, brutal army that really offers no mercy to anybody. And then we follow Ruhlin, and Ruhlin was someone on one of these outer islands that was attacked by the red ships, this new enemy, and he was taken captive, put into slavery, and is forced to be a gladiator type character that has to fight to win his freedom. But the thing with Ruhlin is that he actually possesses this ancient magic, and the only way that I can think to compare this magic is he becomes the Incredible Hulk. Whenever he is angry, he gets like blinded with rage, and his body just transforms into this monster where he can take his hand and he can crush someone's head in his hand. And they found out that he had this magical ability, and that's why his captors are having him fight in these tournaments, because they know he's going to win. So he is trying to win his freedom and figure out a way to get out of slavery. Going on into the things that I liked about this book, I really did enjoy the seafaring aspect. I personally love seafaring fantasy stories. I made a whole video on my favorite maritime fantasies. Thera had her own ship. Felnir had his own ship. So we are on the water quite a bit in this story, and I just love the atmosphere. Moving on from that, I really enjoyed the new magical elements that he introduced into this world. And like I said, that includes Ruhlin, who has this transformation type magic. We also have a character that is able to talk to beasts and control beasts to a certain extent. But not only that, but she is able to telepathically communicate with Thera. And this is something that Thera has never experienced, but this character has, and it's incredibly rare. So these two women are able to communicate without speaking. And then we also have dream walking, which I wasn't expecting. And the dream walking is able to be accomplished through the use of this bauble or this trinket that these characters wear around their necks. And they're able to communicate with a dream walker as long as they are wearing that necklace. So we have all of these new magical elements that, from what I remember, were not part of the Covenant of Steel series, but I really enjoyed all of them. This book also had a lot of tropes that I really like. So I love stories that have the lost city, magical ancient relics type trope. The whole part of the plot where Felnir and his crew and Elvine were inside the lost city. They were exploring, trying to figure out what happened, where it led, seeing these relics, seeing these statues. I just loved it so much. I thought it was so much fun. And then Felnir's plotline actually expands on that. And he is, I don't want to say he's fulfilling a prophecy, but it kind of like set him up to have just an awesome character arc that I'm very excited for. And then I like the way that the author was able to connect these characters in this story to the Covenant of Steel. I'm going to go ahead and discuss some spoilery aspects to the story, so if you want to skip over that, please go ahead and check the timestamps down below. As for the characters involved in this book that were part of Covenant of Steel, so we find out that one of the characters is Alwyn Scribe's son. So he does make an appearance in this book, but we do not see from his point of view. So we know that he had a son with Evadine from the Covenant of Steel series, and Anthony Ryan kind of made the reader to believe at the end of that series that his son was going to have his own series, and here we are. It's just not from his point of view, but he is a very mysterious character. I like him quite a bit, and we didn't learn that he was Alwyn's son until later in the book. And then we also learned that Elvine is his daughter, which I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that. But apparently, and I had forgotten all about this, he does have like a relationship with Berine, who was a scholar to the Sister Queens, and Berine is Elvine's mother. So we find that Alwyn actually is her father, and Colvin, Alwyn's son, had went out on this mission to find his sister. He had visions that told him he needed to go do these things, and now when he meets Elvine, he realizes why these visions were telling him to do what he was going to do. I absolutely loved how the author was taking the strings from the Covenant of Steel series and creating this new plotline from them, and we get some of the characters from the original series in the series as well, and I'm just super excited to see how the author continues with their stories. As for the things that I didn't like, I did find this book to be fairly slow, and it took me a while to get really invested in the story. So if you are reading this and you're not really connecting to the story, just keep reading along because it does pick up and it does get much better as the book goes on, but it does have a fairly slow start. I also was not a huge fan of Ruhlin's plotline because I feel like that plotline has been overused and overdone in fantasy books quite a bit, where we have a character that is taken captive, put into slavery to be a gladiator, and has to win his freedom. I just feel like it's been done so many times, and I'm interested to see how Anthony Ryan spins that plot line to make it his own so that it does stand out from the many times it's already been done. All in all, Tide of Black Steel was really enjoyable. I quite liked it. However, if you are just starting with Anthony Ryan's books, I would not start with this book because I feel like you will be missing something from all the events of Covenant of Steel. Also, I feel like if I'm comparing this to his other books that I've read, this is not his strongest. I still 100% enjoyed it. I would still recommend it if you have read his other works and you are a fantasy lover, but I would not start with this book. In the end, I ended up giving Tide of Black Steel 4 out of 5 stars. Alright, you guys, thank you so much for watching my review of Tide of Black Steel by Anthony Ryan. Let me know in the comments if you've read this book and what you thought of it, if you plan on reading it, if you've read any other of Anthony Ryan's books, and I will see you all in another video soon. Goodbye!